Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lost in Creation. Today we have an amazing visual artist. Her name is Summer Blake, and she's going to talk to us about her work, her journey, and just, her story as an artist. So, Summer, thank you so much for joining me on, I know, the hottest day of Baltimore, and my hands are from staining furniture, so I had to put that disclaimer.
The madness of the summer and the summer projects and
Yes.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your journey as an artist. Like, what got you started and how have you been active ever since?
So I would say, it was like apparent to my parents from, young age that I really enjoyed being creative. So I always had been interested in the visual arts. I also, was a violinist for many years. So there was sort of just this, I studied violin for about a decade. So I have always been drawn to just the act of self-expression, and I think everybody does it in their own way. And some people, call what they do creative and some don't. But regardless, there was just really this desire to, you know, find a way to express myself. But it really wasn't until my 20s, which was actually at the time I was in law school. Like, I had come to Baltimore City, and I'm Maryland based, but I arrived in Baltimore City to attend the University of Baltimore, and it was like, felt that this was the rational choice for me, that this was the quote unquote good career path that was gonna provide me with everything that I needed in life. But it was also a very challenging period of time in my life, because I was in an unfamiliar place. I was deeply lonely, suppressed. There was, so much pressure, obviously, with the academic experience, and there were a number of personal experiences that I was having that were very challenging to me. And at that time, I started to realize, or maybe I wasn't that aware, but unconsciously I was aware, that I had difficulty expressing. I had no difficulty expressing myself creatively, but I had difficulty expressing emotions. And so, using art as a medium through which to say, here's what's happening in my life right now. Having that as a medium to express was such a vital experience for me. And as the years passed, I started to identify my art as a vehicle for personal transformation, because the meditative act of art really allows you to sit with what's happening inside of you. And so as I would work on a piece, the piece would be mirroring in a unique way whatever journey I was undertaking at that time.
Wow, it's incredible. You've basically told a story throughout the timeline of creating art. And it seems like the art itself is, in a way, what surfaced out of your, trying to find yourself, trying to figure out like what is the right path. And ultimately, what ended up happening? Did you just drop out of law school and take
That
a
was
break?
that was such a protracted struggle, because once you start to invest in something like that, you're like, well, if I cancel halfway out. So I did end up getting the degree. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and I did actually end up working in the corporate world. I wasn't a practicing attorney, but I was working in the financial sector. And what really ended up happening is that the connection to art, the continuation of continuing to create art, became really a metaphor for my need for self-expression and self-assertion in my life. Because the more that I continued doing a lot of things that I think a past self thought that I would enjoy and that would satisfy in life, the more I started to realize that those things were making me deeply unhappy. I felt that my job was, it no, not only did it make me unhappy, I really didn't feel comfortable doing the work that I was doing. I felt that, rather than contributing to society, I was participating in something that wasn't for the benefit of society. So, last year we spoke briefly about the fact that I left my job, and kind of decided to strike out. So it's been an interesting journey since then. But, like a lot of art for me is really the radical act of being yourself in a world that often would rather that you fit a puzzle piece.
Inform, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Quit my job a little less than a year ago.
Yay.
Yeah, I would say a little more than a year ago at this point. Whoa. But yeah, I think it's a brave, bold thing to do. And this journey that you're on right now is, it's one of heart and passion and emotion and drive. And, what we're going to do right now is actually a screen share so people can get to see the magical beauty that is your work. And hopefully we can all get into this like meditative state of mind, because every time I see your work, I get into this, I fixate on it. It's like there's nothing else that exists in that moment except your work. So let's share it and dive right into some of the pieces that you want to talk about.
Yes, that sounds amazing. So, see if I can share my screen. It looks like you disabled participant screen sharing.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure we can share now. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
In.
Okay.
The magic of Zoom.
Yes, right. Okay, here we are.
Oh man, that's so cool.
So here's the main page. This is my website, so we can go to my portfolio.
Okay.
And this, it's been so hard because I've created so many things over time. So I actually ended up organizing it by year. But this is my most recent work. This is a piece I actually just finished called The Alchemist.
Wow. So I have a question. How long does it take you to make one of these? And I'm trying to find dimensions. Like how big is it?
This piece right here is 12 by 12 inches. So they're about a foot in width and height.
Okay. And about how long did it take you to make, these artworks?
It always ranges.
Okay.
I'll show you, actually, if we go back to 2019.
Yeah.
And maybe I can, actually, it's 2018, but this piece, hold on, I'm gonna actually take us to my shop page because it's much better.
Amazing. There you go. Get into the shop.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And this has been such a journey too. I mean, it's like often with an artist, you're trying to, create these products that mirror what your original work looks like.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just like, how do I make it faithful? But I've been working with photo prints, and the glossiness of the image, just like gives it so much of its original power.
Yes.
Okay, well, here we go. So this is one of the pieces that's taken me the longest period of time, which I would say is about 3 or 4 months.
Wow. That took you 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with these two, I think what you're looking at is not only, the image itself, but so much of like the research and the exploration that goes into it. Because this one, for example, this is inspired by, ancient Egypt and the beautiful mythos that, illuminates that period of time, which I think there's so many perspectives on, what was happening then. But, you can see the goddess here, the overarching one, her name is Nut. And her lover, who's sometimes represented as a lion, is beneath her. But there's so many of these interlocking elements that it's a labor of going deep into a topic and really like embracing that and seeing what comes out of that knowledge and that exploration.
So, I mean, the detail and line work is exquisite. And, it's like you can spend quite a while looking at the entire piece. and the colors are so vibrant. Is that marker, or what do you use for color?
Yeah, it actually is.
Okay.
Yeah, I use Faber Castells, and occasionally, depending on the piece, I'll use watercolor. So for The Alchemist, for this piece, her body, obviously, the shading and the coloring, isn't really achievable by pen. So it's usually a combination of those two.
Yeah, and the shading on her is beautiful. Is there a way to zoom in on that a little?
Yeah, let's see if we can do that.
Let's see. Oh yeah. I'm just like looking at her, like there's just the shadows of her face and the body of it. Amazing. Even on the whale, you were able to do that.
Right. Yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes.
that is insane. Look at the overlapping and the detail. Oh my gosh. So right now you're in, you're selling online. All the art markets have been canceled. What have you been trying to do to stay active and engaged with the creative community?
Yeah, that's been a really good question, because
Yeah.
well, it's funny, I've been talking to so many different people and seeing that our experiences are all unique.
Yeah.
But for me, especially at the beginning of the year, I was navigating a lot of health problems. And so, when the quarantine happened, it was kind of interesting, because then, the general public was experiencing also this immense fear of, about physical illness. So, it's kind of just, having that communal shared experience, but, at the same time was
Right.
feeling that a lot of inner work needed to be done. So, there's this idea that we really can't help others until we've done the work for ourselves that we need to. That, it is possible to help others, but we can do the greatest good when, we're tending our own garden. So at the beginning of the quarantine, it was a difficult change, because there's so much of my work, that where the connection with people is through my direct interactions, just talking with people with my art.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do I transition into something else? So, I have been creating a series of newsletters that I send out regularly, because I think that social media can sometimes just be gone in a second.
Yes.
And email can be a little bit more
What's
powerful, and just,
happening to TikTok?
yeah. It's crazy. And I also noticed that so many creatives on social media have been concerned lately because of the way that the algorithms work.
Yeah,
So,
big time. Yeah, I could not agree more with that. So it's almost like, aside from using social media, what are things we can do, right? Like it's, I've thought about this so much because in a time of feeling isolated, you want nothing more than to just share, your work and your story and everything, and it's more difficult in a way, but in that you get creative. So I can see that, the work that you've done, and even when you were saying about, working on yourself is just as important about, than as the art making. So
mhm.
I couldn't agree more with that. That's absolutely right. If anything, I think the art making comes out of like, you know, the feeling and emotion that you experience through the physical journey. And
Yeah.
I remember when I got appendicitis at the beginning of the year, I was like, am I going to feel normal again? And then once I started feeling normal again, it was right back to creating. So yeah, I can't imagine, the whole journey you've been through, and now making beautiful work like this. You're incredible, Summer. Just
Well,
incredible. So let's get out of screen share. Let's talk a
okay.
little bit more. And before you tell me a little bit about what you've done for the community, I've done a new part of Lost in Creation where we do like speed round questions, where you have to say the first thing that kind of comes to your mind in the answer. Are you ready for speed round questions?
Oh, I'm not, but I am.
Ah!
Bring it on.
All right. You could do a collaboration with any artist. Who would it be?
Alex Gray.
Alex Gray. Ooh. All right. Another question. Your perfect sandwich. What's in it?
Ice cream.
Great answer. Next question. Favorite song?
Ooh. For some reason, I'm thinking Taproot. I don't know where that came from. I
Oh,
don't know if you remember Taproot. It's like kind of like an alt rock band from back in the day.
can you give me like a line from one of their songs?
Let's see. It's time, hate to myself. It keeps me alive.
Oh, girl, it just got a little hotter up in here. Oh, man, that was really beautiful. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
Next question. Spirit animal.
I have so many, but the one that came to mind is owl. I love owls.
Yeah, I mean, they're fun.
I've certainly seen them in your work.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm obsessed with them. It's the eyes for sure. And then last question, if you could do one thing, let's say let's see, the first thing that you want to do post quarantine, what's like the one thing that you want to get back to more than anything?
Well, I've been feeling like a longing to reconnect with water. And I'm not like a big, like public beach person, but I really love the ocean. So I'm looking forward to interacting with that in whatever way I can.
Yeah, or even just like the traveling, because I know that travel is not nearly. It's hard right now, and not many places are open or even accepting Americans. But yeah, if anything,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird time right now. I feel you on the ocean though. I want to go abroad again and like and get one with nature. But
Yeah, I actually I had this sort of like fantasy last year or the year before, and I just sort of had this like urge to just suddenly like pick up and take like a weekend trip to Greece and not do any planning, just jump on a plane, which I think is tough now because, we don't want to be hurting the environment. But I never do things like that. It's like I just want to feel the wind and, never been.
how simple, right? Like you're not asking for much. You're asking for wind at this point. But yeah, aside from all of that, I know the last thing that we always talk about on Lost in Creation is what are you doing for the community? How are you teaching others? How are you sharing your art and your story? So right now, what are you doing to make an impact?
Well, right now is really that figuring out period because now that we don't have the interpersonal connection in person, we have to adapt. So for me, I've been investigating, starting to teach more workshops, which is I used to hold like a women's group where I'd just gather and talk on various topics and just hold the space open for people to express. But I'd love to really talk more about how that relates to art and how that relates to self-expression. And beyond that, what I'm really searching for is a way to have a platform online where I really can make a difference. So I did my first just like IGTV video recently. I did like an acrylic pour, and I was like, this is so fun. Like, I still have technology to figure out, but, I'm looking forward to just demoing things so people can, be like, okay, I'm in a slump today, but like, I have this thing in my closet. I'm going to work on that. And, I'm going to do something that feels good today.
That is incredible. I loved your idea of the women's group. Can you get a little deeper into that, or how, if you're going to be doing it again, how people can get on board with that?
Yeah. So essentially the women's group, each time that there's like a meeting, there's an invitation to meet, it tends to be on a different topic. And the way that I've organized it in the past is by kind of taking a personal barometer of what sense I'm getting of what's happening right now for people. So there have been times where this particular group has focused on, what we were talking about before about helping others before helping ourselves. So talking about our relationship to self and what authentic self-care really looks like.
That's so necessary.
Yeah.
Like incredibly important. I'm so happy you're doing that. And next time you do it, let me know, because I'm gonna be there.
Oh yeah, you're so in.
Yes, yes. So before we let you go, where can people find your work? Where can we follow you, support you? Where's the best place?
I'd say Instagram is the best. I'll share my screen again.
Love it.
Okay, and I'll take you to,
It's like an artist's paradise. It's like just give me the visual.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Instagram and Facebook are the same. It's Art of Summer Blake on Instagram, and also if you go to Facebook, you can put it in. I don't know if this will show, but it's also just facebook.com/Art of Summer Blake. So you can see everything that's going on with my creative journey. You also can see that IGTV. So that's a little fun nugget to look at.
Yeah.
But there's just so much stuff, just the adventures of creation. So definitely check it out, everyone. I'd love to hear your comments on what I do and what you want to see in the future.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna be honest with you. It's making me want something for my new house. So I'm gonna have to follow up with you on that. But if anything, thank you so much for joining us. Let's get out of screen share one more time so I can give you like a formal virtual hug and goodbye.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. But yeah, if anything, we're excited, and I know Lost in Creation is excited that you were able to give some of your time with us today and talk about your work. So, so beautiful seeing you, and I look forward to what's to come.
Likewise. Thank you so much for your time and getting to share this moment.
Oh, thank you, Blake. Summer Blake. Summer Blake is like the best name ever. Take care.